West Penn Poppy here. Covered a lot of ground in the last couple of videos. A lot of hard stuff to talk about. Episode 11 here. I'm going to talk to you about how the Catholic Church in Pittsburgh failed me. So, I'm not a lifelong Catholic. I converted just under 21 years ago when I was an active duty Air Force officer. I've been curious about the church from my earliest days. And I can talk more about that in another video. But I converted, and I realized I had a lot of problems with, random, well, I don't want to say a lot of random sexual partners, but, sex outside of marriage, lust, pornography, things like that. And I started to get a handle on all of it. And then, as I described to you in the previous episode, episode 10, How I Met Junie Jenny, I think God looked at me and said, "You think you're doing so great, patting yourself on the back there, big boy. I'm gonna just knock you down and see how you handle it." And married woman, and I lived in sin with her for 8 years. Now, the previous bishop of the archdiocese, or I guess the archbishop of the archdiocese of Pittsburgh, is a guy named Zubik. I confessed I was denied confession a few times here in Pittsburgh. And we can talk more about that. I'm happy to talk more about that because it's important. And I don't disagree with the priest who did so. But Bishop Zubik, I remember going to Easter, the confession day at the cathedral. And I remember seeing Bishop Zubik's name was on a door, and I remember thinking, the only person I don't want to confess to here is the bishop. Because he'll cast me straight down into hell, And this is hard for me to talk about. But after 7 years of not being a confession, Bishop Zubik did not, he talked to me, man to man, priest to, confessor to confessee. But he gave me absolution. And, it's still hard to talk about. It took a long time for that to sink in. I've been forgiven by an agent of God, somebody transfigured in the form of Jesus Christ here on earth. That was very powerful for me. And a little over a year later, Junie Jenny took my 2 girls, skated back to Mifflintown in Juniata County. Fast forward to 2020, and I emailed everybody. I've been calling, I've been emailing. I asked Allegheny County Courts, Allegheny County Bar Association, veterans groups, Mid-Penn Legal Aid, those scumbags, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, who laughed at me when I called. I sent a letter. I'll share the letter with you when I get a little better at the video thing. I asked Catholic Charities. I asked my church directly. We have this really amazing priest, Father Frank Almaid. And I asked the church. I asked them for their help with this, to help find a divorce attorney or family law attorney. It's not divorce because they're married, but a family law attorney for custody for free, or at least for pro bono or for reduced fee. I'm a parishioner at St. Joseph the Worker Parish in Penn Hills. They never, to this day, and it's been 5+ years, they never even bothered to say no. I saw a parochial vicar for the Archdiocese of Pittsburgh at St. St. Coleman Parish down in, it's on the Tri-Borough, I call it the Tri-Ghetto Expressway, but it's down there in Turtle Creek. And I talked to him about it and said, yo, Father Frank, he's got this LGBTQ ministry, but here, nobody in the church, can bother answering me. And he said, here's my information, send it to me, I'll get it to the right people, but don't expect much. And I'm very grateful for that parochial vicar. I'm not going to give his name. Well, I'm not saying it's because Father Frank didn't answer me. I don't know if he ever saw it. I don't know if the church staff even bothered him. And I hope God deals with those church staff at St. Joseph the Worker Parish if they did not forward my request to at least one of the priests, if not Father Frank. Because I love Father Frank, and he volunteered to baptize my youngest daughter, whom I live with, and has never met her sister's Hannah because her mother, Junietta Jenny, is evil. Anyhow, Father Frank got bone cancer, like nasty bone cancer. And I don't know if it's God punishing him for founding this LGBTQ ministry. I don't know. That's not for me to call. Not for me to make that call. I don't know if it's for God. I don't know if it's because he didn't answer me. And Father Frank and I talked, about heavy-hitting stuff, like closing parishes in St. Joseph Worker Parish, closing churches. And he acted like, he never acted like he knew that I had asked for help. But I'm going to tell you this. I don't know if you've ever been mad at your pastor if you're a Protestant. I was baptized Southern Baptist as a kid when I was 10 in south of Houston, Texas, Brazoria County, Angleton. I don't know if you've ever been mad at your pastor, your priest, your rabbi, your imam, your therapist. I don't know if you've ever been mad at somebody, a therapist isn't a religious figure, scratch that. But I was mad at Father Frank and suspicious of the rest of the priests at my parish. The only one still around now is Father Martin, and I'd really like to know. I'd like to know if Father Martin knew, if he's known the whole time. I've gone through all the anger stuff with Junietta Jenny and stepdad Bob, who, again, praise be to God, is dead. I'm still angry with Allegheny County Family Courts. I'm still angry with all the family law attorneys in Western Pennsylvania who did nothing to help me or any other fathers, who are just greedy, feast on children's tears. But when you're angry with your priest, you Bishop Zubik, that does something to you, to your soul. It's not good. And I eventually moved on from that. And, it wasn't because Father Frank got the bone cancer. You just move on eventually. And, Father Frank, again, I told you he offered to baptize my daughter. Get this. He couldn't. Because he went into remission, and then he reached down to tie his shoelaces, and when he pulled up on him, his left humerus snapped, the bone in your upper arm. It snapped because it was rotted from bone cancer. I don't like to think that I had anything to do with that. And I hated hearing about it. And he couldn't baptize my youngest daughter because of it. But back to Bishop Zubik. When I found out when President Trump first came into office at the beginning of 2025, the Catholic Charities had smuggled millions of illegal aliens in and made $5.2 billion off it. I'll tell you now, the church, St. Joseph the Worker Parish, they were very open that they housed an illegal alien family at St. Coleman down on the Tri-Ghetto Expressway, down in Turtle Creek. Now, at the time, I was like, yeah, not really, but whatever. And I'll talk... Hello? talk more about illegal aliens another time. But I just want to lay it out really clear for you here because we're over 10 minutes. Bishop Zubik, the Collective Catholic Church of Pittsburgh, Father Frank, the other priests in my parish, not the new priests. We have these two just amazing. They're not young. Well, one is young, one is younger. I'm not talking about you, Father Michael, or Pastor, and I'm not talking about you, Father Nick. This has nothing to do with either one of you. And I don't know if Father Martin has ever known this. But I don't have any anger or ill will towards you. But the Archbishop Zubik and the Catholic Diocese of Pittsburgh and Catholic Charities here, they're a dying church. The Catholic Church, the Christian Church in the West is dying. And two beautiful little girls, Hannah and Ella, look at my backsplash. They are beautiful. They could make little Catholic Christian babies. They're from families of like 5, and my mom's one of 6. My dad's one of 5. My maternal grandmother's one of like 10 or 11. My maternal grandfather's one of like 10 or 12. They're breeders. We're breeders. I'm from a line of breeders, both sides. We can replenish the Catholic Church. We can replenish the Christian Church. Bishop Zubik would rather smuggle in child sex trafficking, drug smuggling illegals. That's what you chose, Bishop Zubik. That's what you chose, Catholic Diocese of Pittsburgh. And you know what? Can I tell you something? My parish, St. Joseph the Worker Parish, it's paying the price right now. They put forward a motion to the new bishop, who again, I don't lay any of this on. Once he's heard this and he doesn't do anything, then it's on him too. But they've said they're going to close 7 of the 8 remaining churches. They're going to leave one campus open, one of the churches open. My parish is paying, and I believe it is God not laying down his wrath, but he is punishing St. Joseph the Worker Parish for ignoring my pleas for help and having me separated from my little girls for 4.5 years. I still believe in God. I pray the creed every single day. The Catholic Church failed me. And if it doesn't help me get my girls back, that's 2 more little girls that are not getting married in the church, and they're not going to have babies in the church, and the Catholic Church is going to continue to die, and it's going to be everybody there's fault. God bless you all. Good night.